Hi macrame friends, today we're making this double macrame plant hanger. But first I want to go over some of the supplies. You will need a 1.5 inch metal ring, and I do prefer a metal ring over the wooden one. The wooden ones tend to break. You will need rope, of course. I'm using 3.35mm single strand cotton from Ropeshop.ca. And you will need two 8x8 inch wooden boards. And you're going to cut a hole right in the center of each of them. Mine measures at about 4.5 inches, but yours might vary depending on the size of your pot. Now, I purchased my wooden boards from the dollar store of all places, and you get 3 in a pack. So if you're like me and you feel like a deer in the headlights when you enter a hardware store, check out your dollar store first. You're also going to need 2 pots for this, and your pot has to be larger at the top and smaller at the bottom. At the top, mine measures 5 inches in diameter. And to get the measurement of how it nestles into our wooden board, you just want to insert your measuring tape lower. And as you can see, I took the measure at 4.5 inches. And that is how I got the measurement to cut my wooden boards. And I did purchase my plastic pots at Dollarama as well. And we get 2 in a package, so that works out perfectly. And of course, you want some really good sharp scissors. Alright, now let's get started. We're going to be working right off of our metal ring. And what you want to do is you want to take all 8 of your 180 inch strands of single strand cotton rope and thread that right through your metal ring. Make sure it is completely centered. Next, grab your short 30-inch strand of rope, and what I like to do is tie just a regular overhand knot right at one of the ends. This knot is optional, but I do find that it's really helpful when you're pulling on your gathering knot. And you guessed it, what we're going to do is tie a gathering knot. Make a loop pointing downwards, and what you want to do is wrap your long tail end around everything, gathering it all together. Now, if you find that I'm going too fast for you, you can always adjust the speed of this video by tapping the 3 dots on the top right corner, or you can go ahead and check out my knot tutorial playlist. Despite what it looks like, this macrame plant hanger is actually really easy, and this is great for a beginner. The hardest part is cutting the holes in your wooden boards. Anyways, once you've wrapped your rope around your project a few times, you want to thread your tail end through the loop at the bottom, and this is where that knot comes in handy. It gives you leverage when you go to pull on your gathering knot. And you want your join to be in the center of your wrap. Cut off the excess rope on the top and the bottom. And what I like to do is take the end of my scissors and tuck in any of those frayed ends that we might have. Next, take 4 cords, and what we're going to do is tie some spiral knots. Make a loop with your leftmost cord, placing the tail end across the 2 centers, and then with the rightmost cord, you want to go behind and through the loop of your left. Cinch up your slack all the way up to the top, and then you want to repeat another time. So make a loop on your left, wrap your rightmost cord behind and through the loop of your left. When you repeat this over and over and over again, you will find that it starts to form a spiral. We're going to tie 60 of these knots all the way down. Once you've tied your 60 knots, it should look something like this. Now we need to do this 3 more times. Now if you're not keen on counting all of your knots, your total length should be around 11.5 to 12 inches. Next, we're going to thread the 2 center cords of each of our arm through each 4 corners of our wooden board. This is where the scrap piece of butcher's twine comes in handy. I'm going to use it as a threader. Fold your butcher's twine in half and then thread the loop end through one of the holes of your wooden board. Next, take the 2 center cords of one of the arms and thread that through the loop you'd created. And then with your tail end of your butcher's twine, you want to pull that right through your wooden board. Now, I struggled here for a little bit. It does help to have a little bit larger holes on each corner of your wooden board. Okay, so go ahead and do that with the remainder of the arms of your plant hanger. Now, this part is really important. Because our two outside cords are a lot shorter now, you want to switch your working cords. So grab the two center cords and split them in half and wrap them around the two outside cords, just like so, and tie only 2 spiral knots. These 2 spiral knots will hold our wooden board in place so that we can make adjustments if we need to. Okay, so go ahead and tie 2 spiral knots around each 4 corners. Okay, so now it's a good time to make sure that it's level. You want the bubble in the very center. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm quite proud that it's perfectly center without having to make any adjustments. If yours isn't, then go ahead and make your adjustments now. Then we're gonna continue tying spiral knots all the way down. We're going to tie 40, including the 2 that we previously tied. This section should measure right around 8 inches. Next, we're going to attach our second wooden board just like we did with the first. And just like we did with the first, we're going to tie 2 spiral knots right at the bottom. Get out your level again and make sure that the bubble is centered, and make your adjustments if it is not. Next, we're going to tie more gathering knots at each 4 corners of the bottom of our plant hanger. So just like I did with the top, I like to create an overhand knot at one of the ends of my rope. Form a small loop with your long tail end, and then what you want to do is wrap your long tail end around your spiral knots, gathering it all together, and what this does is create almost like a faux tassel. So I like to wrap this gathering knot around all of the spiral knots, as well as a couple of times below the spiral knots as well. Once you get down to the bottom, thread your long tail end through the loop. And then at the top tail end, you want to give that a tug and hide your knot right in the center of your wrap. Now for these gathering knots, I like to only cut the top tail end and not the bottom. The extra tail at the bottom just gives our fringe a little bit more fullness. Okay, so repeat to the other 3 corners of our plant hanger. Next, give your tail ends a trim. I'm not measuring mine this time, I'm just eyeballing it, but feel free to give yours a measure if you want to make sure that it is absolutely perfect. With a fine-tooth comb, you want to go ahead and give your fringe a comb. All that's left to do is place your pots inside your plant hanger and add a few plants. Now, if you love this plant hanger as much as I do, I think you'll also love my daisy plant hanger. I'll leave the link on the screen now, and I'll see you over there.